Good morning, students, and welcome to the online session. For the first time, ninth class students, state syllabus. We are launching this project, and I wonder what you are doing during these Corona days. I hope you are utilizing your time and you just assume that the academic year has already started. That means whether you are at home or you are coming to school, you should not keep your mind or brain vacant. You have to update your mind and brain with information, with knowledge. You understand? And that is the reason why I would like to advise all the students. Ninth class, you are stepping into ninth class. Ninth class is as important as 10th class, because here you have to understand all the important things, grammar and discourses, lessons you have to understand well, and all these things will help you to a great extent when you are promoted to the 10th class. Understand? So, in your English textbook, you have good lessons, I would like to tell you. And I hope all the students are having your textbooks in your hands. And after you listen to the lesson, once again, you try to read the lesson and try to understand. Okay. In 10th class, in 9th class, you have to write discourses also. Discourses in the sense you have to write conversations, dialogue writing, diary writing, and script writing, that is speech, and letter to your friend, or letter to the editor or something like that, personal letters, official letters. Okay, and reports also you may have to write report. One topic will be given and you are asked to write a report about it. See, for example, your school celebrated Children's Day festival, November 14. Give a report, they may ask, and you may have to write. Another thing is, see, for example, suppose one accident took place in a national highway near Kurnool. So many people injured. Give a report. You may have to give a report. Okay, that is giving a report. That also you have to get exposed or get trained in this 90 class only. And also what we call development of this story. Development of this story. A few hints are given, and based on the hints, you may have to develop the story. And that means you have to elaborate it, and you have to write at least one paragraph consisting of 10 sentences. And not only that, you may have to give the title also for that. You may have to give the title for the story, and similarly you may have to give a moral of the story also. So my dear students, this is very important, and all these things, and to develop a story, it calls for a good vocabulary and your imagination also. You have to improve your imagination skills. That is very, very important for 10th class. And in other words, what I am trying to tell you is, this 9th class will serve as a preparatory ground for you for 10th class. So this is very important. Unless and until you get good exposure and good skills in this 9th class, you find very difficult in 10th class. If you study, work hard, and if you understand importance, and you put forth all your efforts, improve your knowledge, skills in ninth class, then your life will be very, very comfortable in 10th class, and in the process, you may come out with flying colors also. When I say flying colors, that is the magic figure of 10 grade that you may get also. So my dear students, don't worry about this corona and all. Corona will stay for some time, and afterwards we have to be through with our studies and everything. And such of those students who are not, simply not giving much attention to your brain work. Now it is time, because it is the month of July, and July also is coming to an end, and we are stepping into August very shortly. And like that, the time and tide will not stop forever. Stop for us. Time and tide will not stop. It will be moving always. So only thing is, we have to catch up with the time. We have to navigate ourselves. We have to navigate along with the time. And you should not simply let the time pass, and afterwards it's very difficult. Try to understand. That is the reason why I once again advise all the students the importance of ninth class. This is very, very important. And to start with, you have to understand so many things in ninth class which will be helpful for you to get into the most important examination of a student life, that is 10th class. So at least you have some breathing time. Some breathing time is there so that you can equip yourself and get ready for the final battle. So my dear students, don't neglect your ninth class. This is very, very important. I have been telling for all the ninth class students, ninth class is as important as 10th class. Number of times I have been telling the students. For you also, I would like to say like this, to start with. Understand? So have you ever touched your textbook so far? You tell me, ninth class students, just for in academic interest, what are all the lessons? Have you ever touched it? If not, please, if you have the textbook, it is well and good. In case you do not have the textbook, try to borrow or get it and take it to your hands. Because it is time for us to start. We can no longer afford to sleep or waste our time. You understand? So, in ninth class, for your benefit, I tell you, you have 6 units. What my point? You have 6 units. When I say 6 units, you have lessons, prose and poetry also. Prose and poems. Okay, for example, the first lesson is the snake and the mirror. That is what we are going to take up now today. Start with. And afterwards, the duck and the kangaroo. It's a poem, a very small poem, but at the same time, it gives a lot of meaning also for us to understand. And similarly, little Bobby. It is also just like a small lesson. So in the first unit, you have a very interesting lesson. Start with the snake and the mirror, the duck and the kangaroo poem, and the little Bobby. So we are going to start on a very, very interesting note. And afterwards, you have in the second unit again, you have got 3. But is a true height is a lesson, a very inspiring and motivating lesson. And what is a player? It is a poem. What is a player? It is again a poem. And VVS Lakshman, very, very special. It is just like an interview. The sports magazine interviews VVS Lakshman. So such of those students who are not able to recall VVS Lakshman, he was a great cricket player, now retired of course, and he set up so many records. And here is an interview by sports magazine with VVS Lakshman. That is also very interesting. And afterwards, in the third unit, you have Swami is expelled from school. A beautiful lesson written by R.K. Narayan. And not just a teacher, but a friend. It is a poem. Then homework. Homework is a lesson. A very interesting lesson. You will come to know the various aspects of homework. Because I did not tell you what is homework. And in this particular lesson, it will open our eyes and we will come to know the various opinions about homework. Great intellectuals also they define and give their opinion about homework. How the children are facing nowadays with more and more homework. All these things will come to know in this particular lesson. So that is the third unit. And coming to fourth unit, environment. Environment is the fourth unit. In that, what is a man without bees? This is also prose lesson. The river, there is one poem, river poem. Can't climb the trees, it is also a lesson. And coming to fifth unit, a havoc of floods. How the floods caused a havoc in Karnool town, that will come to know. Okay. And grabbing everything on the land poem, this is a poem. And the ham radio, this is also a prose lesson. Okay, then the last unit, sixth unit, a long walk to freedom lesson. This is an autobiography of Nelson Mandela. I did not tell you who is Nelson Mandela. Mandela was a great freedom fighter and he languished in prison for as many as 25 years. He was a Negro leader. And when he came out of, so in those days there was racial discrimination. So he was kept in jail for 25 long years. After he came out from the jail, elections were conducted and he became the president of South Africa. The first black president to rule South Africa. Earlier it was under white people, racial discrimination we call it. Jati Vivakshata. So that was there, the first lesson. Second, freedom poem. It's again a poem. Freedom. Written by Rabindranath Tagore. And an icon of civil rights. An icon of civil rights. That is a speech delivered by Dr. Martin Luther King. So in those days, there was racial discrimination in US. So Martin Luther King happened to be the leader of black people, Negroes. And this was a speech delivered by Dr. Martin Luther King at the time of receiving Nobel Prize. Okay, so very interesting topics and lessons we have to handle in 9th class. I hope you all would enjoy 9th class English study. Okay, so simultaneously we have to cover discourses and letters and all such things, and also we have to cover grammar points also. So lot of responsibility is there on your shoulders, my dear students, I tell you. And you have to shoulder the responsibility with good care. Because you are no longer children. Another thing I would like to say. You are no longer children. And then you have to understand very shortly you are almost reaching 10th class, and afterward that is the end of your school study. So you have to be very careful right from the beginning of the academic year in 9th class. Okay. Well, so this is a brief introductory part I would like to have with you. And this lesson, first lesson is the snake and the mirror. The Snake and the Mirror, written by Muhammad Bashir. He is the writer or author of this particular lesson, Muhammad Bashir. He was from Kerala, and the lesson name is The Snake and the Mirror. Okay, here we go. As a snake, before that I would like to say, this is a particular narration. This lesson is nothing but a narration narration, narration by a homeopath doctor. This lesson is a narration by a homeopath doctor. The homeopath doctor, he tells his personal experience. And all the people will be assembled, they will be sitting there listening to him, and this doctor, he is narrating his experiences. Got my point? He is trying to explain his encounter with a deadly snake, a very poisonous snake. I did not tell you. The moment suppose we happen to see a snake in and around, what we do? We suddenly jump and we will run away. Yes or no? Or we will simply sit there and we play with the snake, you tell me? No. The very sight of the snake makes us fearful because it is poisonous. So this lesson is a narration, the experiences of a homeopath doctor which he was sharing with all the people. They were all sitting there and the doctor was telling his experience. Try to understand. Okay. Has a snake ever coiled itself around any part of your body? A full-blooded cobra? You just put a question to yourself. Is there any occasion, is there any incident in which you happen to see a cobra and that cobra coiled around your neck? Oh my goodness. The moment we happen to see a snake, we just run away. And you just imagine, suppose a snake comes and coils around our neck. What is going to happen? We'll die out of shock, I tell you. So here he is putting the lesson, the very first sentence he is putting a question. He is putting a question. Has a snake ever coiled itself around any part of your body? A full-blooded cobra. Full-blooded cobra, full size. Normally the snakes will be, let us say, 5 feet or 6 feet long also sometimes. That snake happens to circle around our neck. What is going to happen? All of us fell silent. All of us fell means when the doctor put this question to all the people who are sitting there, all the audience, people who are sitting there, they were simply keeping quiet. They didn't know what answer that they should do. The question came from the homeopath. The topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued his tale. Tale means story. So all the people, they were discussing about the snake, and the doctor, homeopath doctor, he wanted to tell his experiences about a particular snake. So all the people who were sitting there, they were listening attentively and carefully to what the doctor was telling. Got my point? Next. The house was not electrified. That means the house in which the doctor was living, it was not electrified. There was no electricity. Because he was living in a village like this. Outskirts of the village, there was no electricity. It was a small rented room. I had just set up a medical practice and my earnings were meager. Meager. Meager means very little, very small. The doctor has set up his medical practice. He was a homeopath doctor. So he took a small room on rental basis and he started his homeopath practice in that small room, outskirts of the town, village. There was no electricity. Okay, and his earnings were very meager, and he was earning very. Who is going to come and see? Only few people used to come. he didn't have a regular flow of practice. Now and then a few people used to come. So that's why his income also was very, very limited, very, very small. Okay. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase. So what was the property of the doctor? Doctor was having a suitcase in his room. In that suitcase, he had some 60 rupees. 60. Along with some shirts and dhotis. In that suitcase, some shirts and dhotis also are there. He kept it. I also possessed one solitary black coat. One black coat also was there for the doctor, black coat, which I was then wearing. So he was having what were they in proper amount? He was having just 60 rupees in his suitcase and a few dhotis and shirts, and he was having a black coat. That's all the property of the doctor. In a small room, in a rented room. And his income was meager, very, very little. Okay. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so white vest and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with a long supporting cables that rested on the beam over the wall. There was no ceiling. On one occasion, the doctor came to his room. So he finished his meal in the night and he came to the room. He opened and he just removed his coat and shirt and he hung them in the wall. And it was an old room and one beam was there. Beam means a wooden supporting structure you find in the room. Olden days, in the old houses, you find beam. One beam was there. The beam means it is attached to the roof. Okay. It had a tiled roof with long supporting cable. Okay. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats and from the beam. That room was covered with tiles, TILES, and one beam was there. And there was a regular traffic of rats. In that room, find so many rats coming from this end to that end and that end to this, and regularly they were coming and moving on the beam. Okay. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out of the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. So that was the situation. What was the situation? The doctor came to his room in the night. He opened the door and he went inside and he removed his shirt and banyan and coat and he just hung it on the wall. And on the beam, there was a regular traffic of rats moving from one direction to other direction. There was no air and the doctor was feeling very suffocated. So he just came out of his room into the veranda. Okay. So that is the situation. What is the situation? There was a homeopath doctor living in a small rented room on the outskirts of the village, and he was having a very meager income, not a good roaring practice or something like that. One day he came to the room and he opened the room and there was a regular traffic of rats coming from one end to another end. It was a common spectacle, and since doctor was feeling very sultry and there was no air, he just came out of the veranda. He just came out of the room and he was standing in the veranda. So this is the situation. So in the next paragraph, we'll come to know more about this particular lesson. Okay. Bye, student.